Flory Models weekly roundup. This is the part where we have a look at this week, see what we've been up to, what we've been talking about, and answer some of your questions. So on Monday, what did we do Monday? Monday we had the review for the ME262. Great little kit. I must admit, it's one of those things where with Revel, they're never quite there, but they give you everything you really need as a good starting point. So as I said, we spoke about things like when we did the FW190, when we did the Typhoon. Technically, they're good kits, they're at a good price, plenty of detail, and then you can just go that little bit further with it. So we had a few little deliveries came in for it. So we have got some seat belts coming up, we've got a little bit of photo etch, we've got the colour cockpit, and I've got a nice reference book that turned up for it this week. So really, it's going to be a stunning little build for when we get on with that one, for part of our German group build, which is going to start shortly here on Flory Model. So we spoke about that one. We had a couple of questions in, and we have Chris, get a flow duct, that was it. So Chris was talking about this, about getting a back flow duct, because we spoke about the actual spray booths over the weekend, putting those in and everything else like that. I have got it, I haven't had time to fit it yet, but we have got the actual back flow duct, so that will stop the air, technically when you're using one booth, it not just pushing out the other. So we can just shut this one off, this will go into my older one, and that way I'll be using the new one as my primary, and then when for the bigger jobs we'll have both running and everything else like that. I have to say, I've been using it this week, as you'll see, and it is great because I have zero smell and there's just nothing in the air either, and just little things like just there's no dust or anything else like that floating around. And yet this week I have been spraying a hell of a lot, so it has worked, and I'm highly recommended. Go out and buy one, go and see the guys at Graphic Air, they will sort you out. Done a fantastic job. And also just to remember, don't forget the membership, you will all get 10% off of everything from Graphic Air or Bench Vent, sister companies, and everything else like that, using the promo code that is available on the Flory Models members offers page. It's down there with all the other bits and pieces, with deals and partnerships we've got with other companies and things like that. So if you do want 10% off of that or any other item from them, just pop in, pop the promo code in, or give them a ring and they'll be able to sort you out in the right direction. The other thing we were speaking about was Ian. He's the kind guy, I couldn't remember your name when we spoke about it actually on the show. He worked out the decibel sound from two of these running together. And as I said, it's 58 decibels each, but with a pair running together, that actually only makes 61, because technically it's the same noise level, just you've got two of them going. It doesn't double it up. I thought it was double the sound. It doesn't work like that. So he's put me correct on that one, so thank you for that, Ian. So we worked that one out. Jonathan, he was basically put up some great reference pictures of the ME262 onto the Flory Models site. We've got the reference area as well now, so you can put any reference photos you've got up onto the actual site with that particular aircraft, and something we really want to expand on because we've all got tons and tons of photos, so we can pop them in there. It's good reference for everybody and everything else. But as I said, this particular version I'm going to go for like that South African one, so some good references from that, but just generally ME262s from around the world as well. So we can see about this riveting detail on there, because we're saying on here the actual artwork shows it with rivets. Reality is they were actually puttied over, so it's just divots down into it, which is something we did actually on the Meteor, same type of effect. I don't know yet, I'm very torn, because I'm looking at it thinking no, it's not strong enough to see it, but then there's part of me, then I look at the Meteor and think, makes the Meteor pop by doing it. It just gives it a nice level of detail and everything else like that. So thank you to Jonathan for that one. Simon was saying I'm greedy with all the haul for the actual A10. Quite correct. We were speaking about that. Obviously I've got two cockpits, actually I've got three cockpits as well for it. It's one of those things, you know what it's like, I'm real guilty of it. When I bought the kit, it was a case of, right, I've got that, I'll go out and get the cockpit. So to be honest, this is the one that turned up first for it. So we actually got this one, which is what I've had with it for ages. And then I think it's the True Details one came out afterwards. So it was a case of that looks a nicer cockpit, if I'm honest. It seems to have more detail and things like that. But he points out it'd be nice to do a sort of side-by-side comparison with all the different parts and stuff like that. So that is what we're going to do. So hopefully we'll be able to put the parts up, see which are the best parts, and then obviously we'll cherry pick the best ones for when we get on with the A10, which I will be starting on Tuesday. So big push with that one. It's going to be a lot of fun, clearing the decks, everything will be done by then, and on Tuesday we're going to be starting on our big build for the actual A10 build. Cal was saying, how long will the spray booth stay tidy? Yes, that is a good question. As you can see, it's actually still tidy. I am making the effort with it. All right, there's a few things in there, but generally it will. I will try and keep it more tidy and everything else like that. It's that thing though, trying to find a home for everything. And again, it's that thing where I've got like 10 different types of primers. I only use one, so I've had a bit of a clear out now and all the rest of it. So I've just got my primary uses of everything, and to be honest, the cupboard above there is where I keep all my other stuff, all below it down in there with the compressors. So from that point of view, hopefully it'll stay a little bit more tidy. So anyway, that was Monday, and then Tuesday, we had part 5 of the Meteor one up. Now part 5 basically covered going through the re-riveting stage of it. Something that I've actually got a real thing for now. I love doing it. That's why I want to do it to the actual MB262. But technically it's one of those things where a good tool pays dividends. And I must admit, for years I have never ever gone near anything that needed re-riveting if I could help it. Purely because I am crap at it. I am terrible at it. Trying to get it, I make more mistakes than actually put in the right place, if that makes sense. So now I'm using Rosie the Riveter. Again, highly recommended. Just, I know they're a lot of money. Like we're saying with a lot of things in life, you do pay for what you get. It's definitely one of those tools where, yes, they are extremely expensive for what it is, but it just does the job so very, very well. So it's well worth going out and getting them. So we basically re-riveted this thing by hand. We didn't even use a ruler because you don't really need it. So you can do it completely by hand. Fixed all the problems on that one, and then we actually moved it over to the spray booth. I think we got a coat of primer on that one, and we put the grey coat on with it. So as I said, last week I was on a major push with this one, and we really pushed through with it, moving along very nicely with that one. Some of the questions that came up, we were speaking about is Jim asked, how long would it take to build everything that's in my studio here, not including the kits upstairs, just the kits in here. Well, I had a bit of a count up, and I think it was like I had 110, was it 120 kits, something else like that. So if you work out, if I did one a month without a break and we just went for it like that, so if I wasn't having to film, I could probably do one a month without a problem as an average. I reckon it would take just under 10 years. I think it worked out something like 9.75 years to do it. So yeah, I've probably got quite enough. And you think this is half. To be honest, the kits I've got upstairs, a lot of them are a lot smaller. They're either really big and I've got the boxes are just too big to put down here, or they're really small. So I've got a lot of the 1/72 stuff upstairs. There's a lot of the armour stuff upstairs, but a lot of the really big stuff is up there as well, purely because the boxes take up too much room. So that's that one. Nigel asked about the Mozzie engines. Do you think they're worth it? Again, this is when we spoke about it. It caused a little bit of a debate on the YouTube channel as well about it, that the price of these things, are they really worth it when the kit engines actually aren't bad? Now, obviously the engines for the kit ones are the same ones roughly that go into the Mozzie and the Spitfire, and having built both of those, I know those engines, they are really nice, and yes, you can put a bit of details in there. From my point of view, like we were saying, it's just one of those things where it's going to be the focus point of the actual model. It's where I'm going to spend a lot of time. It's where your eye is going to be, to be honest. I'm going to have the nose off completely, showing obviously the gun bay and everything at the front, because I've got the resin one of that, and we've got the metal barrels for it. But that entire section, that's why I went with the gear as well, is that you know, it's going to be really, really an important part of the model. Everything's going to be seen. And when I saw the CAD work off of these, and the CAD work it shows it being built, I just fell in love with it. And I've looked at the parts, and to be honest, they are absolutely gorgeous. It is just that next level of detail. Now, I'm not saying everyone should just rush out, forget the kit engines, they're crap and all the rest of it on the Mozzie, because they're clearly not. They are really, really nice. But I just want to take it to that slight next level. So by using those engines, I can then display it a little bit fuller, a little bit nicer, and everything else like that. So if you imagine, I'm roughly going to do to the Mozzie of what I did to the big Typhoon, the 1/24 scale Typhoon that I did. We're going to rip it all open. We're going to have it all shown, all exposed as if it's having maintenance on the field. So we're obviously going to have the engines open and a few other panels, bits and pieces like that. So again, it's just I'm thinking, right, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to put it there. That's where it's going to be, because the rest of it, like cockpit and that, you're not necessarily going to see too much in there, but certainly the engines being all uncovered and exposed and everything, you are going to see. So that's why I went with those. Again, I think it is that thing. You spend your money on your model. You can either just build it straight out of the box, and I do this a lot as well, because that's what we did down here. But if you're going to do like a big super build that you're going to spend a lot of time, and it's expensive kit, just spending that a little bit more, sometimes it can not only improve the look of the model, but also your pleasure for doing it, because you've spent more time perhaps on the engine than normally you would. If you're just building the engine, I think you just put it together and put it in. But if you're doing those, they're like mini models of their own. So have a look back to when we did the Focke-Wulf 190, and we spent an entire episode on just the engine, because it is a work of art. You could put that on a little plinth on its own and it would look absolutely stunning, and that's what I want to do with those as well. So when they are in there, they'll look absolutely amazing. Right, on YouTube, JCM asks, what do I do with all my finished models? Good question. Well, for years, as you know, I used to literally just do commission work. Everything that went through this bench, or my other benches, was commission. Okay, so over the last 4 years, I've stopped all my commission work now. So I don't actually take on any commissions. I'm not paid to build the models or such like this, so I can focus all my time and efforts into the site. So from that point of view, they're now building up very, very nicely. Now, some of them I've donated to charity. Some of them have made their way to museums and collections. Some of them I've given away as prizes and various bits and pieces like that. That's where they tend to go. But I am now inundated with them again. So it is that thing of like, what the hell do I do with them? What I'd love to do is convert the office upstairs and have it like a showroom. But unfortunately the stock's all up there as well, and I'm told they're not allowed to go anywhere else in this place. So from that point of view, we're not too sure what's going to happen. I am going to give some away. I mentioned it on one of the vlogs last week. A lot of you bombarded me with emails saying, can I have one? I'm not even sure what it's going to be yet. So what I'm going to do is probably next week, I'm going to have a lot slower week next week. I'm probably going to have a good clear out of some of my cupboards and things, and then I will actually put a thing up saying, what ones do you want? I'd say ideally if you can come and pick them up, that's a lot easier, because the hassle, I won't say hassle, but the time it takes to securely wrap them and do everything so they can make it through the post system and the courier system is a little bit of a nightmare. But obviously members, you'll all get first dibs on this, but I will put them up, and then you guys, if you want them, you just say what you want, and obviously it'll be on a first come first serve. Don't ask me when I'll do it. It'll be one of those things, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's not a priority. Other things are more important at the moment. So when I get a moment next week, I will sort them out. We'll put them all down here on the bench. I'll do a thing about it, and you guys can put your hands up to what you want. And if you do want to make a donation, obviously you can make it to Snap, be it my chosen charity. But there's no money to me. It will just go charity-wise and things like that. Okay, so Jackie, where do I get all my kits from? Right, we answered this one as well. Basically, as I said, I tend to go direct. It's one of those things where, if the kit's been released and it's been released in the Far East and they're out there, I will go out and get them direct and have them shipped in. Otherwise, I'll wait for them to come into the UK. When they come into the UK, my two ports of call, to be honest, are Hannants, because they tend to carry everything. Okay, and then second point of choice is Creative Models. Between both of those, you can get any kit you like. And Creative Models, to be honest, they have some very good sales. I go up on a Friday. Usually it's like 30% off, stuff like that. So you can just get yourself a real bargain. And to be honest, some of mine are real bargains. I see it in the trade list as a sale item. It's on sale as well in the retail list, and I will go out and get it like that. So you can do it in that way. Para asks, what camera? A lot of you mentioned about the camera this week because it's not very good. We now know what it is. I'll explain that in a minute, but this is it. This is when I do the vlogs, Monday to Thursday. It's all on this little tiny thing, this little tiny compact camera. It's amazing how good the quality is. I think you'll agree. It is stunning. And for you guys who have watched some of my museum visits, this is the camera that I take with me. When I take this out and about and we go anywhere in the car, when we've done post office trips, things like that, it's been this little guy here. To be honest, I have a little Gorilla pod. It sits on and I can strap this to, well, whatever it needs to be strapped to, and that is it. So it's a tiniest little thing. It's great, but as we know, and I'll speak about in a moment, it has got a shortcoming, and that is its focusing, because it's always trying to face detect, because that's where it can focus to. But as soon as you lose your face, it then starts to wander to try and look for other things. And as we know, we think it's focusing on the girls behind us, but as I said, that comes up in a question in a moment. Right, Raven was speaking about, and this caused a little bit of thing on YouTube. He mentioned about me making the two-tier hobby, which is what I bang on about, how it's a two-tier. Again, I think it's taken a little bit out of context. I think if you know me, if you followed me a while, you'll know my opinions on it all. The thing about a two-tier hobby is that what I'm saying is you get the guys like us who are like modelers, and we've done it a while, we've got a little bit of disposable income, we can afford these things, the kids have left home, all those things like that, and we can afford a £200 kit, and we're going to get our money's worth out of it, because it might take 6 months to do it, versus the kids coming in. Now, the thing is, you've got the void between the kids coming in who are happy to pay, sort of 20 quid on a model and 200 quid a model. That's a big void between the two. And what worries me is that over time, we're just going to do this. and there's nothing in the middle. And if there's nothing in the middle, nobody's going to be able to sort of cross over, because it's not like that general progression of just spending money on kits until you get to the big time and everything else. I explained it very simply that I buy these kits and spend a lot of money because, for instance, where is it? This kit here is a classic example of a luxury. You know, this kit here is £127. It's a rebox of the Hasegawa P47, which I can't remember what it is now. It's about 75 quid normally, something else like that. So it is a lot of money. But from my point of view, it comes with all the Edard goodies in it. So I would have used all of the Edard goodies in it anyway, and I wanted to do it in these markings. So from me, it's a no-brainer. It's cost me no more if I just wanted to go out and do it. But I understand what people are saying about, obviously, it's all right for you, you can afford all these kits. As I explained, this is my job. This isn't a luxury for me. This is a stock item. This is part of what I do. I spend my money on stuff, you know, company money if you like, to buy kits so I can look at it, I can review it and give you an honest opinion on its good or bad. So I might review this when I get round to it, and I might turn around and say, to be honest, it's a lot, it's over expensive, you might as well go and buy somebody else's, it's a cheaper option and everything else like that. But what I will do is give you an honest feedback on the kit. Do I think it's worth it? Do I not think it's worth it? You know, it is that thing. Do I think, you know, certain manufacturers, I don't want to say because it'll start a massive rant, but there's a couple of kits out there who I haven't reviewed purely because I think they're overpriced. So there's no real point me doing a review just because I know it's overpriced, when there's other kits that I've got in my stash which I think are equally as just as good for half the price. So there is those types of things, but the whole point is I buy these so you don't have to, so you can have a look, and then from my review of it, you can make up your mind, is it worth buying or spending that amount of money on the kit, or is there cheaper and even sometimes better options out there? Okay, so that is the whole point. So as I say, I know it might look like it's just okay for you, you're sat there spending a fortune on kits and all the rest of it. Technically it's what I'm paid to do. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So for me it's a stock item and all the rest of it, and it will go through just like that. But as I say, it caused a little bit of a thing, but hopefully it will iron itself out. Okay, Wednesday. Another part of the Meteor went up. As I said, this is the new thing now. Instead of it being videos on Mondays and Wednesdays, you'll get them as and when. So literally, the next part of this was done. It was edited, so it just went up on Wednesday. This covered all the painting on the Meteor. So it literally went right the way through the sections of going through the camo. We use Clever Putty or Panzer Putty, or I don't know. There's loads of companies ripping off Clever Putty, but it's basically a silicone putty to do the camo work. And then obviously we put the camo down onto it, and then worked our way through the silver coat to do the high-speed silver finish underneath and all those things like that. So from then on it was pretty much a straightforward run to the end to get it finished and everything else like that. So that was up with you on there. And what else did we do? Adrian, he said you were loving the way that it was a more relaxed vlog. And that was the point to it. I just wanted it to be, the vlogs are what they are. And I know some of you have been saying about the camera and the various bits and pieces, but the vlogs are always supposed to just be, I just grab the camera and I talk to it like I would talk to anybody else who'd be in the studio. And that's the whole point. So I can share with you what I'm doing, what's coming in. So that's why I open the deliveries with you guys, so you can see what it is all about and what I've got coming in and what I'm doing, right the way through to pulling the ductwork apart on that and the computer problems and everything else. I see it as we're all just one big happy family and just having, you know, sharing knowledge, sharing what we've got, what we're doing and other bits and pieces like that. So that's the whole point to that one. Rob is saying about the camera problems. So this is what we think it is. The girls, yes, because Cal then actually mentioned about this. We think what it is, the drawback to this camera, which don't get me wrong, is a lovely little camera for vlogging, and I used to use it in the spray booth. But the trouble with it is, it has trouble keeping up with the focus. So as soon as I look away, it suddenly has been looking at the girls up here. And I think that's what it is, because the thing is, it's on face detection mode for obviously, you know, getting it in focus. It's detecting the faces behind or on anything else. So consequently, it's like, oh, hold on, who am I looking at? So as soon as I look off and it loses an eye, it sees two eyes up there and goes, I'm going to look at the girls. So quite frankly, it prefers the girls to me, which can't blame it. But we think that's what the problem is. Obviously, this camera I'm shooting you on now is technically all in the same mode as this thing shoots in, but it's obviously a higher quality. It's a lot more expensive, okay, and everything else like that. But that is the problem. It's just a little camera, but the thing is, I don't want to lug around or have to change any of the other cameras to become a vlogging camera. So I know it's a pain in the ass, and then I don't know, I might invest in another one when we got some pennies available, and if this takes off and people love it. But for the moment, you're stuck with this one and it doing its little bit. I think I cured the problem, because if I zoom right in at me and it can't see the girls, it's quite happy to look at me. So from that point of view, we'll leave it just like that and see how we get on with it. Right, Mono Man on YouTube, he says, it's an amazing rate of models that I make. What do I do with them all? Well, as I said, spoke about it earlier, really it's just a mixture of, some of them we give away as prizes to members and things like that through various things. We've done that in the past. Some of them I give away to charity. Some of them are auctioned off for charity. Some of them have gone to military units around the world, not just UK, and various things like that. So that's where they usually end up. And to be honest, I'd say I've got too many now and I'm going to have a cult. So we will be giving them away, and if anybody wants to make a donation to charity for it, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so if you want to do something like that, you can do it to your chosen charity as well. You don't just have to do mine, but as long as the money goes to charity for them, just a donation. So I'm not asking for a price for them. But anyway, I will sort that out next week. David, dimensions of the spray booth. Right, okay, now, I knew this question was coming up. I didn't think I'd have a tape measure. So my spray booth here, all of my desks right the way around here is 600 standard, because all it is worktops, kitchen worktop. It was the cheapest way I could do it. So technically you've got forward to back on these is 20, if you say 24 centimeters, okay, from the back to the front on there. So that gives me a work area off the front here of another, if you said like 40 centimeters, just under, it's around about 38 centimeters off the front. And then width wise, with both of these in this configuration, we are looking at, if you said that's around about it, around about 110 centimeters. So one of these booths on its Todd, we did all the dimensions in the review, but these are literally 50 centimeters by 39 centimeters without the handle, that's working area. And then forward to back, as we were saying, I've got a little bit of room. They're around about 22 centimeters from the depth, but because the ducting comes out the top, they don't take up any room. The problem you have with the other ones, when you have a duct on the back, by the time you put the collar on and all the rest of it, they come too far out, so there's not enough room. The great thing with these is they fit flush because the ducting's out the roof of it. So that is really, really easy, very, very straightforward. Okay, so that's that one. Thursday. It was my one-day build. Now I know you guys haven't seen this yet, but here it is, and I have now glued it. I've got to sand it, take care of some edges. That's why it's got its rudder on. But we looked at this. This is the Meng solvent-free. Do they call it glue-free? Yeah, cement-free assembly. It's not by a long way. We put it together in the one-day build. You'll see it probably Monday or Tuesday next week. To be honest, I have done it, but I want that one out. I don't know. This might be Monday, and then you're going to get the final part for the Meteor probably Tuesday then. Because I say I have finished editing it. It just needs to be uploaded now. But basically, this is it. This is the kit. To be honest, it's a great Mustang, and what we spoke about in the reviews, you're going to see it, and on the build of it. It's an hour video. We just chuck it together with no glue, as would be the case, and it just falls apart. It can't hold itself together. It's got real problems. The rudder doesn't fit. It just falls off because there's nothing to physically hold it. The wingtips, obviously, they come apart, and we had loads of problems around with the gear area and various bits and pieces just dropping off and everything else like that. But generally, it's a nice Mustang kit. If you forget the idea that technically it's you know, supposed to be glue-free and all the rest of it, and just buy it as a model Mustang, it's fine. And I say a lot of people have mentioned that it's got some details on it that are better than anybody else's, and a lot of people have mentioned that actually there's lots of problems with it as well because of you know, various little mistakes with it, with wings not being puttied over and stuff like that. But it's personal choice, as we know, for all of these things, if you want to do it. This will be up with you, as I said, if we put it up Monday, if we agree it now, it'll go up Monday. And then what I'll do is one day next week, I'm actually going to paint it as well, so I can show you a simple thing. So like we did with the SU27, that was a sort of a one-day build. This will be a one-day build, because basically if you take all the time it takes to do it, I would have done it within one day. So we might, I don't know actually, which, I don't know, MRP or probably AK metallizers on this one to finish it off. But generally, from a kit point of view, it's great. Glue free in, so yeah, save your breath on that one. But I talk about how one of my favourite kits has always been the P51 Mustang by Tamiya in 1/48. It's a great little kit. You used to be able to pick it up for 7 to 10 quid. That's how cheap those ones were. And they just fall together. They're a delight. They go together easier than this thing does. But generally, it's got some nice details. But what I do with this one is we paint the entire of the cockpit. And I show you a quick, simple way how to weather with a little bit of oil, some various bits and pieces like that. So it will be a fun little build. And by the time we get the paint on it and we do the decals and we do the markings, the invasion stripes, things like that, it will look really, really nice when it's done. So well worth it. Right, so some questions that have come up on that one. Jim was asking about, are we still doing the Q&A with Steve? We used to do it Tuesday afternoons. It's going to move. To be honest, I'm still trying to just settle everything in, get everything sorted out at the moment. I've still got a million one jobs to do with the site and everything. But basically, it's going to move to Sunday night, and Hans is going to be on as well, because Hans is great for his airbrushing and all his techniques and everything else like that. So if we can drag Steve away from his sanding sticks, he'll be there on Sunday night with us as well, and we're going to do it. So what we're probably going to do is like every other Sunday night, or it might be a monthly thing, and then obviously we're going to have a monthly get together. But it's going to be also not just Q&A, it'll be everything as well. So we might do some building, we might show the techniques. If we pre-load the questions, we will then pick them and be prepared for them. So if you ask a particular question on something, what we can actually do is get that one sorted out, get a demo part ready for it, and answer it and show you live on air exactly how we do it. The other thing that came out about it when we was doing the live stuff, a lot of people were saying they're far too long. You know, unless you're there and watching it at the time, it's very difficult to go back to it again. So what we're going to do is make sure that the shows are usually around about anything between an hour and 2 hours maximum long. No longer will they be 4, 5, 6 hours long, because as I say, the big thing we got back feedback from just before Christmas is that they were far too long. So we're going to tone them in. So again, the new sort of, you know, ethos we're doing, it's definitely sort of quality over quantity. So instead of rabbiting on for hours and just, you know, in there, we're going to keep it nice, sharp thing and have everything prepared so we can show you exactly what it is. And again, big thank you to Kevin. He's helping me out at the moment. He's been going through a lot of the old builds and things like that. He's just done the F1 Mitsubishi and by putting timestamps right the way through, so you can see exactly what I've done in through all of the video builds, and you'll be able to then just go exactly to that point. So you can see at 17 minutes into the video I'm doing whatever it is, you'll go in. Also, because those go into the actual search engine feature on the site, that you'll be able to actually search for it and it will appear, because give it a couple of weeks to go through the system, but what happens is when you type in now a certain bit, it will come up with this and take you to the video as well. So from that point of view, it should make easier navigation and finding particular items, shall we say. So now if you put in there like weathering the cockpit of a, you know, P51, it will come up with all the ones because it's been done in the timeline. So it will just come through all the builds, we'll have them in. So it won't have just this one, it will have the other one as well from the 132nd one we did, and they'll all be listed. So you'll be easy to find and get through instantly to the point that you want, instead of having to go through part 5, because somewhere in that half-hour episode I talk about it. Okay, so that'll just make things a lot easier. You can go exactly to the minute, scroll along, drop in, and be exactly where you want to be. Okay, Darren asks, Darren asks, where do I get my MRP paints from? To be honest, I get them all from the UK now, and I get them from hmhobbies.co.uk. Great company. Merrick and his wife are doing a fantastic job. They do sell out occasionally, but they always get good stocks in very, very quickly. Okay, they're very good at restocking, so that is the main thing. But as you said, good, fast, reliable service. Highly recommend them. And no, I'm not on commission, paid for, or anything to do with them, but I will sing their praises, because every time I've ordered, I've had it within literally a day or two here by courier. So again, highly recommended for that. And finally, Kim says, I'm still doing too much. I have this week, but the whole point to this is that when I'm on a roll, I'm quite happy to roll, if that makes sense. The trouble I have is where I haven't got anything, you know, and then I feel pressurized that I've got to give you something. But this week, for instance, we pushed on really heavy with the Meteor. We went through that one, and because I was finishing it off, I set myself a goal. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I said on Wednesday I'd have it finished, and Wednesday night I finished it. It was as simple as that. So then Thursday, I said to you we were going to do the one-day build. We did do it. That was the whole point. So it's just the thing is, sometimes when I haven't got it done, for instance, and I haven't completed it, I would always felt pressurized to give you something, because everyone was like, oh look, there's no video today, or where's this part I'm waiting on, are we ever going to see? And it's just that pressure. But now we don't have that. It's absolutely great, so no problem with that at all. So anyway, up with you today is this. This is the Marlet, and I have to say, I reviewed this last night, and it is stunning. This is one of those kits where I've seen it on the internet and people have mentioned it, never really thought much about it, and then I saw it and I thought, I tell you what, it looks a lovely little kit. We'll get some in. We haven't done 1/72 for a couple of weeks now, so we'll get something in, and I've been absolutely blown away by this kit. This kit has got some of the finest detail I've seen on any 1/70 scale, a 72nd scale model, let alone Airfix. Yeah, that's face it. You think of Airfix, you always think of, it's all right. No, this is really, really nice. This is new Airfix, which are actually bringing out some fantastic stuff. But the detail around the gear, the cockpit and everything else, you'd be, you know, the same type of quality of detail you'd find on good manufacturers 1/48 scale and a lot of 32nd stuff out there is in this little tiny kit. And if you're wondering what a Marlet is, it's basically a Wildcat, but it's the predecessor to the Wildcat when they were called the Marlet. What was the Royal Navy designation, I think, for the Marlet, because it was the ex-French ones that we had. But yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. Beautiful little kit, highly recommended. And again, don't overlook the 1/72 scale stuff these days. Some of the stuff that's coming down through the lines is absolutely exquisite. Some of the best stuff I've been working on. And as I said, a lot of you, I know there's a couple of haters out there who are mentioning that I'd only do big expensive kits. Well, don't forget, I did the 72nd flanker the other day, and that was one of the best kits I've ever built. So it's absolutely beautiful. And I can actually see myself building this as perhaps a one-day project, because again, it is a really, really nice kit. Something where I get quite excited about it because it is that good of quality, and it's a beautiful little kit, highly recommended. And if you're out in your local stores and you see it this weekend, buy it, because it is that good. Literally gets my full seal of approval. So that is about it for this week. Fantastic week, lots of work going on, lots of busyness. Next week, say, I'll be taking things a lot easier, but you've got loads to come, as I say, because you're going to get the one-day build. We'll do that. That'll go up with you on Monday. It's an hour video, and literally, it took me 2 hours to build it, and I've edited it down to 1 hour, but I don't skip any bits. You still see it all warts and all and everything else, and I explain to you exactly what's brilliant with it, what's terrible with it, and next part of it, to be honest, that's what I've done already. I glue it together, and it only took me half an hour to glue it together, and it's now a really, really nice kit. Needs sanding, a few little bits done to it and everything else like that, but generally it is very, very nice, no problem at all with it. And as I said, next week I will find a day and we're just going to paint it up and bring it really nice with the metal finishes and everything else like that, so looking forward to that one. Tuesday you will get, this guy will go up with you again, just need to finish the edit on it and then that'll be done. Beautiful kit, fantastic. Airfix, blowing it out of the park. You're really doing really, really well with it. Again, thank you for everyone who stuck by me. I know it took a little while to get going with it, but it was nice to get it back and polish through. And I must admit, it's one of these things, I've been looking at it the last couple of days, finished on my desk, and absolutely love it. I'm really glad we riveted it. I know a lot of people out there are going to be going, the riveting's overdone. I love it. It's one of those things. It should be, you know, what you want out of your model, and I definitely get what that one is now. And I'm glad I spent the time to re-rivet it into all the bits and pieces, because I think it really makes it. One of the questions come up on the forum this week. Somebody asked, is modelling art? Now, this is something I answered in depth a couple of years ago, but I'm going to do it again because I feel quite passionately about it. The definition of art is something that has no practical use apart from looking at it. So technically, modelling is definitely an art form, because technically it has no practical use. You know, you can't fly it around, you can't do anything with it. All you're going to do is sit and look at it, and that is why they are all works of art. So it doesn't matter if it's me, you, anybody. If you're a modeller, scale modelling, any type of modelling in general, figure painting, whatever it is, they are all complete and utterly pieces of artwork at the end of the day. So, right. We've got to carry on. We've got the group build for the German or the Luftwaffe or the ground units or whatever. It's basically our next group build. It basically is, as long as it's been built in Germany and it's German, it's going to count. So it must be German, or I must be German. So that is actually going to start this week. Okay, it's going to be our big group build. It's the big one. It's going to last 6 months. There will be a medal at the end of it for everybody who takes part. And as I say, I'm going to be coming in as soon as I've done the actual A10. I'm going to be doing this guy. So we're going to be pushing through with that one. And my second entry into it will be this for the armour guys who are wondering. I'm going to be building the King Tiger with the Porsche turret on there as well. Looking really, really forward to this. This is the one with a full interior, so it's going to be a big old build with that one as well. So that's going to be my second entry into the actual I Must Be German group build. Remember, to enter, you've just got to be a member of Flory Models, usual thing. Full terms and conditions are up on the site. You can see all about that now. Literally, you just enter, box art, sprue pictures, and off you go, and just make your way through it. Please though, we are going to have to start clamping down on the quality of the actual builds that qualify. You must do a full progressive build thread of your work right the way through. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit tighter with it, purely because so many of you are taking part. It's like costing a fortune. It's costing us over £3,000 to put these on now. So literally, we are going to need you to put in a little bit of work to get you a little bit of something out of it at the end of it, okay? So just make sure you start off with good, clean, unstarted kits. Okay, so what I mean is you've got a picture of the box, you've got your instructions, you've got all the sprues laid out to show you haven't started. We don't need camera stamps and digitals and today's paper with it, just a photo. And then when you make your way through, just every now and again, take some photos of exactly what you're doing and where you are with your kit. The whole point of all of these builds is so other people can follow along in your footsteps. It may be right then and there, it may be in 10 years time. So people will then come on, they'll do a quick search of our site, they want to look at, you know, I don't know, King Tiger, okay? They'll put in King Tiger, they'll see 6 or 7 of them, probably from the group build, and then they can go in and see exactly how you've done it. So what paints you've used, what colours you've used, how you've done it, various bits and pieces like that, what aftermarket you've done. So it gives them a nice sort of, you know, easy way into that kit to see all about it and see exactly how you did it with your weathering bits and pieces and your techniques and everything else like that. So that is what it is all about. The last thing is Hans has been expanding the forum again. Now what it is, we've been trying to clamp down on the thing about the general chat area because it gets used as a dumping ground. So we're trying to do away with general chat. Okay, so by that what we're doing is replacing the sub forums in different categories. So for instance, aircraft, we've now got flight simming in there. So for the guys talking about flight sim, instead of it getting dumped into general chat, you can now talk about DCS, because I'm now about flying DCS, so we're going to get a squadron going. We're going to call it the Flory Models or the Flory Girls Squadron or something else like that in DCS. I'm going to sort this. Okay, so literally it will go in there. So unless it's a really niche thing, and okay, some questions have come out about what if, but technically there should be no reason for just dumping them in one place, because the thing is the guys have to go around and keep moving everybody's posts. So the idea is we're expanding the forum, putting subcategories in absolutely everywhere so you can see exactly where it is. But also it is that thing, when you're talking about it, people will find it easier to find, okay, because it's got its own little area. So as I said, they're all going to be expanded, so all the different genres. So obviously aircraft, armor, sci-fi, the naval stuff, vehicles, civilian stuff, things like that are all going to have the expanded area. So that's where it is. So if it's a particular conversation you're talking about, you should be able to find a subsection on modeling, obviously, or related items like radio controlled, flight simming, all the things that we're all sort of into at the same time will be in that particular category, instead of just everyone chucking it into general chat and it just being swamped and everything else like that. Right, that is about it. Thank you for joining us on this catch-up show here on Friday. So now all it leaves me to do is leave you with your great work that you've completed this week from the galleries. So till next week, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.
Step on the land, I've got your hand, and now we're way down, fade out low. Was it your plan? Can't understand. I love the air you bring, everything. Amid the sun, a fire is burning. You tell me to hold on tight. I wish that we could stay here forever. I wanna remember. Oh, the sight of you wonderland.